Hi, everyone. So today we're going to read about Orrin and Orson West. I do have another reading that I did on them if you want to go and look at that one as well. I think it's titled like What Happened to Orrin and Orson West. And in that reading, the Pope did come through, which we discussed could be father. Unfortunately, it looks like it was father, Jacqueline, and Trezell West. Trezell, father, Jacqueline, mother, have been arrested for the boys' murders. They don't know where the body is. So today we're going to read about Orrin and Orson West and just with the assumption that they are passed because that is what the police believe and they publicly said that. So I don't have to try not to publicly say that anymore. It's really hard when you read about little guys, especially when their parents or whoever, maybe in this case, not the parents, but when people are hoping that they'll be able to bring them home. So that's really tough. And I try to be careful, but sometimes the cards implicate people. And they did in that reading. They implicated father. And if you go back and watch that Isabella Kalua reading, I mean, those parents, the name Sunny even came through. And then when I looked it up, her father's name was Sunny. Crazy. But there's two readings on that one if you want to watch that one too. And it really, that second reading hit home on what had happened to her, and it was horrible. So, still haven't found her body either. I hope one day they do. I'm just going to go ahead and ask some questions. So, first of all, we're going to ask, was this actually an accident? I'm sure that's if the parents ever do confess, I'm sure they're going to say it was an accident. But let's read and see. You know, people do leave their kids in hot cars and things like that. Although it sounds like the police don't believe this was an accident. They are being charged with murder. So was Orson West's death an accident? That's that is the Hierophant. Again, remember what I said? The Hierophant is the card for father. The father's been implicated throughout this whole thing, and here we have father being implicated again. So cards are saying, no, not an accident. Father did this. They go look at my first reading, same deal. The Hierophant is the Pope. What do we call the Pope? What do we call, priests? We call them father. It's the father, unfortunately, is what it looks like. Okay, so they're telling me it happened on purpose and it was the father who did it, is what that card says. So I don't even have to read if it was the purpose. I'm curious if this was similar to the Isabella Kalua case, where it was the other kids in the home that actually were the ones who told the parents and confessed to some of the abuse that was going on, because it sounds like the parents are highly suspected and being accused of child abuse as well. So let's read about that. Other kids in the home. Were the other kids in the home the ones who confessed about abuse and things, the time period that Orrin and Orson West disappeared? Now we know that they disappeared 3 months prior to when they were reported missing. And that was right around the time the parents were living in Bakersfield. And if you go back to that reading I did, my reading did say the boys were in Bakersfield when they disappeared. They were not California City, which is where the parents had moved. So they supposedly disappeared in December, but no, it was back when I believe, right when they were living in Bakersfield. And they're at the Bakersfield. That's the office that's handling their murder charges, is Bakersfield. Other kids in home told about abuse. You guys that don't even read tarot are going to be able to understand this card. Definitely looks like other kids in the home told about the abuse. I mean, if that person doesn't look like they've been abused and murdered, I don't know what does. Okay. So tarot's really not that hard. I know a lot of people think it's really, really hard, but look at that card. If you don't read tarot, you can still understand that when I ask the question, was it the other kids in home that told about the abuse, and we pull a card like this showing someone who's clearly been abused, yeah, the answer is yes. Tough reading, tough situation. Well, we'll see. That'll, I'm sure, come out. Um, let's read about Jacqueline's involvement, because we know the cards keep implicating Trezell. Now, Jacqueline mother, not real mother, but adoptive mother. If she was highly involved, I'd expect perhaps the mother card, which would be the Empress. Um, but let's read about it. Tell me about Jacqueline's involvement. We may get a card that just shows clear abuse. Jacqueline's involvement in the murder of Orrin and Orson West. Everything pointed to father. But she's being implicated too. Okay, tell us about Jacqueline's involvement. That's this card right here. Um, so that's a child. The Sun card is a child kind of being free and carefree. Um, it looks like Jacqueline, if I was going to interpret this as how she was to her children, she was carefree, meaning uh, in this situation did not care enough for her kids, let them just and run kind of wild, and did not watch them enough, just let them go. That's what it appears to me. She just kind of let things go. Let the kids go, let things go. Um, was not as protective as she should have been. Let's talk about where are they, because that's something, of course, we don't have bodies right now. So when I do where are they, there's cards in tarot that mean like water, a cups card. There's cards that mean earth, a pentacle card. There's cards that could stand for all different things. So we're going to look at the imagery of the card and we're going to see what that says. If I get like the Ace of Pentacles, sometimes I get that for when people are buried. Could be around a park. I know certain cards have led me in certain directions before, so we'll see what we pull up for this one. Believe last time it might have implicated sort of water, possibly a fishing spot that father may have gone to before, but let's see what we get this time. Where are Orrin and Orson West's bodies? Where are they? Where are they? Orrin and Orson West. Where are this card right here? Oh, that's the Magician. Don't you love the Magician? He makes things disappear. Um, this may mean their bodies aren't here anymore. I hate to say that, but there are ways to like dispose of a body so that it no longer exists. With the Magician card, I am kind of wondering that. I think, they can pour things on a body to make it go away, disintegrate. It, if not, then they're hidden somewhere really, really good. The Magician makes things disappear. Um, it's not looking good for possibly bodies being found. Um, that's kind of gruesome when I have to go on and read a little bit more about that, but let's just ask if their bodies are in existence. Let's ask about their bodies. I don't know what else to ask after the Magician. It looks like they're not. Let's ask about that. Are their bodies still in existence? Orrin and Orson West. Is there a body that can be found for these little guys? Are there body parts? Orrin and Orson West bodies. Can they even be found is what we want to know. Okay, so I've got two cards for these. Hold second to the second. No, actually it's just this one. I don't like this card at all. That's the Four of Pentacles. I have gotten this card before when people have been shot. It's a really, really horrible thought even that somebody would do that to little babies. Absolutely horrible. But I have gotten this card stand for bullet holes in the body. That's horrible. I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the case. That would be insane. I mean, who would do that? That would be pure insanity. Let's just ask for a little clarification on them possibly being shot. Definitely looks like damage to their bodies. All right, I see what else it may be telling me. I pulled that card, I'm being reminded, for Brian Laundrie. When he had disappeared. We've got the magician that disappeared, and then he did shoot himself. Um, there wasn't much left of his body when they found it. It basically, my understanding is that a lot of it had disintegrated. I think how did they describe it? Um, they didn't come out and say like body parts or a skeleton or something, but there wasn't much left of him if you go back and read about that. And I think that's what this is telling us. Either they were shot, literally, and Brian Laundrie did shoot himself, or there's very little left of their bodies. That's really sad. Really sad. Um, I'm just going to ask if there's anything that can be found because it kind of looks like maybe not. Is there anything that can be found with these little guys? Can they be found? I mean, pentacles are earth, but that one, I know about a great bodily damage. Can can they be found? I don't know if they can be found. I was hoping maybe they'd at least be able to find their bodies, but can they be found? Well, that's the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords does tell the truth, and um, it kind of reminds me of the mother possibly sitting on secrets of the children. You see the children down here in this card, and possibly using her tongue to tell. She may confess. The mother may confess, and she's going to blame the father, is what it looks like could possibly happen. She may tell what happened to them. It's sad when you look at this card. It's a little child with wings around them. Just sad. And she definitely knows the truth, and it looks like she may confess. It looks like she may confess something here. It's almost like it's almost like what's coming to me is like they went up in smoke, or and I don't know why these clouds are looking like smoke, but I don't think there's a whole lot left of them. Isn't that terrible? That's the impression I'm getting. Horrible. Um, I guess after this long, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how long bodies take to decompose. This is really a gross reading, but that's what's coming through. Uh, let's talk about where their remains or they were disintegrated, where that area is, where their remains are today, or where they disappeared or were made to disappear from. The nearest landmark to that area that most people would know is what we're going to ask. So even if they don't exist anymore, we're going to ask about the nearest landmark to either where they were made to disappear or where there still are parts of their body, if there is parts of their body. Nearest landmark. Nearest landmark to these boys. Such a horrible, horrible thing. Nearest landmark to either where the boys, if there are remains, or where they were made to disappear completely. It was away from their home. They were taken away from that. You can see that even if you don't read tarot. This is somebody sneaking things away from the home. So they were taken away from the home. And again, Father did it. From what I see, Father snuck them away. It's kind of like the Isabella Caligula one. It's just cruel and terrible. We know father took them out now. I'm gonna ask, so they're not around their house. They were taken away from their house. I'm gonna ask a little bit more about the location. They could have been even taken out like trash, which is horrible, but that's a possibility with that card. The whatever might have remained, might have been taken out like trash. Let me ask a little bit more about that. Some clarifications, more information about the boy's remains, if there are any, and if not, kind of the place that they disappeared from or made to disappear from completely. Where their bodies were, maybe disintegrated or burned is what it kind of looks like here. Um, and I guess disintegrated, you could pour lye on bodies and things like that. It's a horrible thing. Nearest landmark. Let's talk more about where they are to the nearest landmark. People would know if there is any. All right, we got this before too. They were taken away. Uh, this one stood for their home in Bakersfield. I understood that because it was like the original family home type deal. And so even if they did go to California City, they were taken back to the Bakersfield, or they were taken away from their Bakersfield home. But it's an area they're familiar with, is what it sounds like to me. And an area that they may have lived even before. Maybe even from Bakersfield to where did they live before they lived in Bakersfield? And is there an area that's around there? Look at the, what was the case? I can't remember her name. The guy had murdered her, and then he took her back by a place he used to live and dumped her body. And this is reminiscent of that. So before they lived in Bakersfield, where did they live? And look around there. If they were, unfortunately, they may have been disintegrated or something. I hate to say that, but even this like smokestack type thing is sticking out to me. I hope that's not the case. It's really, really horrible. This whole thing is horrible. Who does this? Just give them back, right? Just give them back if you don't want them anymore. We're going to ask for tips for searchers. I don't know if there's much to search for at this point, but let's ask for tips just to searchers or for searchers. Maybe there's something that can still be found. I don't know, or at least they can find where things happened. Tips for searchers. This is first card right here. Tips for searchers is, it looks like they were taken out at night from what I can see, into a dark area where you would need kind of a flashlight, lantern type thing. They were, unfortunately, it looks like they were sort of even possibly guided away or something. They might want to look around older people's, meaning where did the kid, like a grandfather or something like that's home. I say that because we have the theme of possibly an old male here and here, and this is sort of a light like you would use to search. Family card. It wouldn't hurt to look around an older male in the family if there's a grandfather, grandfather type figure that potentially they may have lived around his house, know about his house, and know what's around his house. That might be a good place to search. All right, let's ask for some advice. Advice for people trying to find anything more about these boys. advice. And that's two cards here. So this card is somebody, you can see they're tied up. They've got a lot of swords around them, a lot of sharp objects. Um, not looking good there for the situation of what may have gone on with these guys. Um, it it just isn't a nice card, is it? And it also makes me think that they need to change the way they're thinking right now. And I'm only saying that because this person is not able to see because of all those swords around them, which are thoughts. And their thoughts have really, really, really put them into a like a dark place, a place that they can't see their way out of. And they may be looking in the wrong places and they can't see it because they're thinking along the wrong lines. It's kind of what I'm getting with that. And then here's a queen. Again, we had that possibly grandfather figure type thing. Now we've got the Queen of Pentacles. And she possibly could be a motherly type figure in the family, motherly, grandmotherly type figure. Pentacles could be focusing on land that possibly belongs to a relative, possibly a relative knows or maybe doesn't know, but that may be where more information about these little guys and their final resting place, if there is anything left of them, is. It very well may be on family land somewhere or around it. A woman or a man, woman and a man, mother, father, grandfather, grandmother type figures. Okay, well, that's where I would look. Yeah. Very, 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 very sad reading. Very sad. All right, well, that's what I've got for Orrin and Orson. Hopefully they find them soon because this is just a horrible, horrible situation to happen to babies. At least the parents have been caught, so there's that. All right, take care. Bye-bye.